family, and happy Sunday. Today is Sunday the 4th of May, and we are going to talk about three different issues. We are going to talk about, for example, why Christians keep quiet when it comes to things like what's going on right now in Burkina Faso, since I know that we are actually the most persecuted religion on earth. So things like this should matter to us, I think, at least. And then secondly, we are going to talk about why is it that they want to, assassinate Ibrahim Traore. What is the real reason? Like, what is going on? What is he awakening? Why is he making them so angry? That's the second one. And thirdly, which I think should actually be the first point, is I don't know what is going on with the mainstream media, because the mainstream media was so quick to report on Ibrahim Traore back then when he took power, all those things, but now they are completely mute. So we want to talk about those three things. So welcome back to the Black Consciousness Movement channel, the Traore Army, obviously now. Welcome back, family, and happy Sunday. It's a Sunday, beautiful, the weather is good. Anyway, today we're going to talk about three important points. I mentioned it in the introduction, and I'm going to start right away with my disappointment in Christian, because Christians are actually the most persecuted religion on earth. We are being killed, slaughtered everywhere. Yet when it comes to things like revolutions that are happening and that's going to benefit and actually affect what's happening to us in a very kind of positive way, we actually just keep quiet and stand aside to let other people go ahead, to support that. I don't understand that about Christian. This is what I mean. Going in the corners and preach Jesus, but when there's a leader that is coming up, that we know that this leader stands for truth, and we know that. We obviously know that. Actions speak louder than words. Even the Bible says it. So his actions has already shown that this leader stands for just awakening every single person on the African continent. And when I say that, obviously, every Christian will benefit, because even if you're white or of another race and you're a Christian, you obviously know that you want peace even for your black Christian sisters and brother, isn't it? So obviously that should actually be able to kind of feel like it's benefiting you, even if it's not directly, because maybe you are not oppressed, right? So honestly speaking, and when it comes to slaughtering Christian, it doesn't only affect black Christian, it affects every single person. So it's not like it's only us, but when it comes to like the revolution that's going on, obviously, because I'm talking about the president of Burkina Faso, who's like wakening up things that we thought, why is this happening like this? So it's going to affect all of us, even Christian. So I don't understand. I'm quite disappointed. But anyway, leave your comment and maybe let's discuss what you guys think, why you think Christians are, just quiet. I'm a Christian, and I feel like if something is happening, a revolution like this, I should be able to stand up and actually talk against it or talk for it, Our second point is actually, maybe I should act like a Nigerian. When a Nigerian is actually disappointed in you, instead of them, putting the blame on you, they actually blame themselves. So I think I should do the same thing, because I am so disappointed in the mainstream media. And I think you know what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the Western media. The Western medias were actually the one who ran first. They were running probably faster than Usain Bolt when it comes to reporting news in Burkina Faso about the military killing civilians, which obviously we know it's not true. We know that terrorists are the one killing civilians. But guess what? The mainstream media will run with that and report as if they were even there, as if they saw that whoever shoot those civilians are actually the military. They are so fast to run. But guess what? None of this media, none of CNN, no Aljezeera, none of the mainstream media reported ever that at least this president, what he has done for his people over just 2.5 years is incredible. No reports. They are quiet. It's not that they are not seeing what he's doing. Of course, they are not blind. If they are blind, they could have gotten themselves glasses. So they are not blind. They are just preferring to kind of keep a blind eye on that. But believe me, if it was something else happening negatively, they would be the first to report it. So, their hypocrisy is alarming. But you know what? I'm actually going to act like a Nigerian right now. I'm going to say that it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's actually our fault that we want to count on them to report that. It's definitely not their fault. I don't blame them. Now I'm being a Nigerian. I don't blame them. But this is the thing. The reason we are talking is because if you're not celebrating my happiness, my success, please, why are you so into wanting to tell everybody about my failures? That is a problem. Don't report, because what happened on April 30th, none of them reported on that. Do you think they didn't know? Do you think they didn't notice that? Of course. It was obvious that they know. That's why we know that the divided states and France are not really interested in apparently helping Africans. Because you know what? If they were so into wanting to help Africans as they claim they wanted to, they can actually go to Congo. Congo need help. Why can they go to South Sudan? Why can they go to Nigeria, where the Boko Haram is slaughtering Christians? Why do they want to go to Burkina Faso, where even the Burkinabes actually sleep at the president's suit to protect their president, because they know that their president is having their well-being in his heart? Why are they claiming to want to go and help people who don't need help? This is time for them to realize that we can manage our own resources. The only reason that we have not been able to do that is because you guys have always been coming and take our resources and exploit it and use our leaders to do that. And because you use our leaders to do that, guess what? The narrative that you have been wanting to create, which is Africans cannot manage themselves, is actually being proven. Because you hold our leaders hostage, which take us to the next topic. So the next topic would be what I said. Why do they want to assassinate Ibrahim Traore? But what is the plan in regards to really these African countries from the divided states? And I think you know now who is the divided states. I'm going to put a clip of someone that I used to listen to. Her name is Dr. Mumbi. I always used to laugh when she said the divided states.
General of the U.S. Army or whatever he is, you can see him here, and they always use one of us. They always use one of us, family, come before some committee or some senate or whatever and declare that our global African hero, the man of the moment, the leader of the moment, Ibrahim Traore, is corrupt because he's using the gold of his country to protect himself. And I think he even suggested that the divided states should remove him from power for being corrupt, family. And the backlash has been insane across the world.
Anyway, I want you to look to this video very clearly. We're gonna watch this video together, and then you can decide what you think about it, especially taking into consideration what Michael Langley said just a few weeks earlier about, Burkina Faso and, Ibrahim Traore. So let's listen to it.
This is Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, and this is a photo of him. Did we train and equip him?
By name, I cannot identify that.
Well, that's him with a bunch of U.S. service members outside of our embassy. And just months after this photo was taken in 2021, he led a coup in Guinea and threw out the leader. Does that concern you?
Congressman, core values is what we start off with in IMA programs.
Do we share
stick to
core
that.
values with Colonel Doumbouya?
Core values. I will repeat that.
He led a coup.
We do.
So I guess 4 months after that exchange, General Langley, you had General Moussa Bamou overthrow the government in Niger. And it won't surprise anybody here that we trained him. The person who overthrew the democratically elected government in Niger went to the National Defense University, trained at Fort Benning, Georgia. So do we share core values with Moussa Bamou?
Congressman, let me just go ahead and state that core values is what we start off with. But there is no syllabus for overthrowing a government, not in our institutions.
Well, they're learning it pretty well, even in the absence of a syllabus, right? Because if you look at Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, in a lot of these countries, the coup is led by someone we trained. There's no causation or correlation to the training we do creating more stability. I'm trying to ascertain whether or not all this money we spend in Africa makes the place less stable or more stable. And just for a country lawyer like me, if we're funding the coup leaders, that probably strikes me as making it less stable. Now, are you aware of the Iranian efforts to now mine in Niger, General Langley?
Congressman, we could talk about it in a classified section on that.
Well, I mean, Fox News is reporting it. They're saying that Iran is working on economic arrangements to get uranium from Niger. So,
well, in classified session, we'd talk real intel.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we've spent more than $500 million in the country. What can you say we've got for that $500 million as we sit here today? If it's like being turned into an Iranian mine, the Russians are the preferred security partner, and we're training the coup leaders. The question is, why should U.S. taxpayers be paying to train people who then lead coups in Africa?
Congressman, our curriculum harvests core values and also to be able to embolden these countries for a representative democracy.
But General, that democracy isn't what emerges. The problem is, I know you may have great confidence in what you're teaching, but when two governments have been overthrown, I guess how many governments have to be overthrown by people we train before you sort of get the message that our core values might not be sticking with everyone? Is it 5 countries? 10?
We'll continue with our persistence in ensuring
But do you think it's
that
working?
they harbor democratic norms, democratic values.
Just a moment ago, you said we shared core values with Colonel Doumbouya. You said that just moments ago in response to my question, and his core value seems to be leading a coup. So I don't think it's stuck. I think we should at least know how many countries we train the coup plotters in. How many is too many? Because clearly 2 is not too many, and I think we could use our resources far more effectively than doing this.
Okay, so let's really look through that video. And when you actually listen very well to that video, it's Michael Langley answering this other guy. I know him. I think he got a position in the new government in President Trump office, but then he got fired because he had a relationship with a minor, something like that. I'm not quite sure. I'm not even interested in knowing him, by the way, but I will put his name here. So he is asking Michael Langley about, how they train leaders, and then those same leaders that they train overthrown the government. Now, I'm not saying that just because he's asking that, because I've seen that guy saying very mean things about Africans. So I'm not going to think that the reason he's asking that is because he has very good motives for Africans, because I don't think any of them has any good motives for Africans, to be quite honest. And I'm not talking about the everyday citizen in general, but I'm talking about these white elites. Like, there's none of them that I think, okay, maybe this one, honestly speaking, if I have to be honest. Now, when you look at that, they train leaders to actually overthrow the government. That's really what it is, right? It's only because he's acting like he doesn't know, like, and this is the same thing that, you know, when Michael Langley was asked from the Senate the other time about, you know, President Burkina Faso and so on, they were acting as if this is not something that they discuss in advance. They act like it's something that you get asked now, you know. But I feel like the way that senator asked that question, it was like something that they almost rehearsed. You know, I'm going to ask this question and you're going to answer this. You're going to have to mention Burkina Faso, because that will give us the right to actually create that bad impression about him. And then we can invade Burkina Faso, and then we get our resources back. And then Africans are back to square one as usual.
The solution is not to take Africans and move them to Europe. The solution is to free Africa from certain Europeans who exploit it and allow these people to live off what they have. This is called the CFA franc, a colonial currency that France prints for 14 African nations, and by virtue of which it exploits the resources of this nation. This is a child working in a gold mine in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is one of the poorest nations in the world. For Burkina Faso, which has gold, France prints colonial currency. In return, it demands that 50% of everything Burkina Faso exports ends up in the coffers of the French treasury. The gold that this child crawls into a tunnel to extract mostly ends up in the coffers of the French state.
Because then it will take another 30 years before another African or brave African stand up and say, you know what, I had enough of these bullies. It takes courage to actually reach that point where you do that, like Ibrahim Traore. So this is not something that is a joke. Like, how long ago was Thomas Sankara, you know, like assassinated? Probably 30 years ago. So you can imagine when they do that, they do it on purpose to actually scare the other leaders into not, you know, being able to rebel against those enslaving laws, if I have to say that, against those colonial laws, because that's what it really is. Modern day colonialism, that's what I would call it, or modern day slavery. Now, when you look at that, he actually used an example of two leaders that they trained, and those two leaders overthrown the government of the same country, right? Now, you want to tell me that's quite a coincidence? Of course not. One of the leaders is actually the leader that Ibrahim Traore overthrown. So meaning that you need to imagine that if they train your military, they can actually go to that same military because they train them, and then they can actually overthrow them. Because remember, people are willing to do anything for money. They are willing to actually sell their own country and resources for money because they are desperate. So when you look at that, these people are being trained to actually eventually overthrow the government. Now, when somebody like Traore actually changed that order by actually also overthrowing that government, knowing that what they are doing is actually, you know, like colonialism and so on, then that actually changed the order, and that's why they're so angry at Traore. That's why they divided states, and France are actually angry because they're working hand in hand to do this. They are all benefiting. So that's what makes them angry. Traore is making them angry. I shouldn't even say that. That's an understatement. Traore is driving them up the walls, okay? They are crawling on the walls right now because he is going to prove that the narrative of Africa not being able to manage their own resources, all this while we have been fooled. Because some of us end up believing that, oh no, our leaders doesn't know how to manage the resources that they have and so on. And of course, up to a certain level, it's true, because these leaders have sold themselves out. They have sold their souls. So they are benefiting these imperialists. But Traore is changing that order. And that's why they're so afraid for him to succeed. Because when he succeeds, it gives them this courage to actually rebel against imperialism. That's why they hate him. That's why they want him finished. Because when they do that, then they know that it will take another how many years before another leader stand up. So we need to be careful. These things, when you look at it, you look at somebody coming to your country and then destabilizing everything. And then they offer you help and you think they're helping. And I don't think these leaders think they're being helped. I think these leaders, came to a point where they don't even care anymore. Let me just live my life on earth. Let me just enjoy what I can. I don't care whether other people are suffering. I'm anyway going to leave the earth. At least I would have enjoyed my time. I think that's what's going on right now. So they come, destabilize your country, destroy your infrastructure, just like they did when they killed Gaddafi. And then they offer to help. And in a case of like the Sahel, and in case of the Sahel region, they have been so attacked by terrorists that they obviously think, okay, we need your military. But that military is actually trained to actually kill you, really. Because they are pretending to protect you, but when it comes to like having like the story that I told you about the president of Mali, then they don't really want to kill the terrorists. It means all this while they have been pretending they're actually friends with the terrorists, to be quite honest. Because how is it possible that a country that you protect doesn't have guns, but apparently the terrorists have guns? They are being sponsored by somebody powerful. Isn't it recently that they arrest somebody who came from, I think, a British citizen who had so much ammunition that they were supposed to obviously give to probably Boko Haram. Who else are they going to give it to? So this is what's going on. And this is what Traore stands for. He stands against that. And because he stands against that, he's going to spoil their game. This is what it is. When he spoils their game, which he's going to do, and he's already spoiling it, because that guy is not going to die. Okay? You guys are wasting your time because God say enough is enough. And you know what God can do? God can protect with 300 men without needing 1,000, even when the other side has 10,000. God does that. When he wants to show his almightiness, he does that. So it's not so much the military. Yes, Russia is protecting Traore and China, as we're hearing, but guess what? God is actually the one who's protecting that son of the soil. I'm telling you. Anyway, guys, we're coming to the end of this. As I usually say, I don't want to make this video long. So, yeah, from me, Jehovah, take care, guys, and God bless you. God bless Burkina Faso. God bless Ibrahim Traore. God bless everyone who really stand for him. And the Bible say that if God is for you, who can be against you? God is for Ibrahim Traore. No one can be against him, okay? When you come against Traore, you are actually coming against the Almighty God, the creator of the whole entire universe. So you know what? Bye, guys.